his dream of being able to get that home run may be going by the wayside. But MLB is bending over backwards for one, Shohei Ohtani. They're even making rules just for him because he's a two-way player. So MLB and the Players Association have actually agreed to some new rules. We're going to talk about that. We're going to also talk about Jake Odorizzi. Is he the second coming of, I don't know, but we'll talk about him. And we'll talk about the Astros opening day lineup. We'll talk about that and more. And we have a special guest, Javi Reyes from the Locked On Padres podcast on this edition of the Locked On Astros podcast.
Hello and welcome to Locked On Astros, your daily Astros podcast. Here are your hosts, Eric the Man Huysman and Brett H-Town Wheelhouse Chancey.
We are Locked On Houston Astros, and we hope that you join us for a daily Locked On Astros podcast. My name is Eric Huysman. You can find me on Twitter at Eric Talks Stros. Find the show at Locked On Astros, your team every day. Brett, where can you find you at?
They can find me at H-Town Wheelhouse on Twitter and Instagram, and at Astros411 on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Always positive. Bury me the H, always Stros.
All right, and we have special guest Charlie Brown. Charlie Brown, where can you find you at?
You can find me at Javipedo, Javiiipeno on Twitter. I host Locked On Padres, of course, at LO_Padres on Twitter. And I'm on YouTube as well. Be sure to check that out for all and whatnot. You can go subscribe right now if you want. But I'm super happy to be back here, guys. I've been on this podcast a decent amount of times, and I actually, just from a baseball perspective, really enjoy talking about the Astros. So I'm excited about that. And I'm going to come out and say it. Eric, I didn't appreciate you saying that the league was bending over backwards for Shohei Ohtani. What's the problem here? I mean, I know it was a tease, but what's the problem here? As far as I'm concerned, they should do everything for Shohei Ohtani. I mean, it's one of the great things that's happened in baseball. How dare you, sir? Disgraceful.
Yeah, it was just a joke there, but So I know you're all yellow there because you have Fernando Tatis about to miss a lot of time because of injury, but we'll talk about that in a second. But thank you for making Locked On Astros podcast your first listen every day, and if you're listening to the Locked On Padres podcast, I'm sure that you'll subscribe to his channel as well, and make sure you listen to either podcast on Apple, Spotify, Odyssey, wherever you listen to your podcasts. Make sure you check out the Lock On Astros or the Locked On Padres podcast. So this happened about an hour ago before we started recording the show that I think, who was it? It was Joel Sherman said that the Players Association and MLB came out with some new rule changes for 2022. And some of them will go into effect for the rest of the CBA, some of them only for 2022. One of them I know Brett is going to love. He loves this rule, Javi. I hate the rule, but Brett loves it. It's his best friend. He loves the ghost runner. He just loves the extra inning rule, a runner on second base. He just loves it. He just wants to go.
Okay. Get to the rule. Okay. No,
I actually do like it. That's the crazy thing. Yeah.
No, I effing hate it.
So that's only going to be for the 2022 season. So that the thought process is with a shortened spring training, they want to find a way to shorten games in 2022 only. So the ghost runner is back, baby.
But it's not a ghost runner. It's a guy literally on second. He's not a ghost
zombie runners.
Hey,
I think people forgot. Yeah, with the terminology, they got it wrong.
Well, I was watching the Astros and Mets game tonight, and of course, the MLB's free broadcast was from the SNY, and they were like, "Okay, let me show you what a ghost runner looks like," and they pan over to second base with nobody on it. They're like, "That's a ghost runner." There's actually going to be a runner on second. I think this rule is stupid. I don't think it shortens the game any. I think it puts undue stress on a relief pitcher at the end of a game. I just think it's Mickey Mouse, Rob Manfred, BS rule. It was supposed to only be here because of the COVID shortened season, but no, it found its way back. It's kind of like taxes, we'll tax you a little bit, but we'll pull them back later. Once MLB makes a rule, guys, it ain't going away. Y'all think it's just here for 2022, but I promise you it will have staying power, and that pisses me off.
Okay. You want to say anything, Javi?
Look, here's my thing. I often have said that I find it funny that a lot of times baseball fans are like, yeah, we need to make the game more exciting, right? And for me, I think that excitement, and shout out World Traveler in the YouTube comments, commenting it here. What's up, man? That I find that oftentimes people are like, yeah, we want to make the game better, but they're like, whoa, 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 not in that way. Whoa, 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 not in that way. This reminds me a lot of when people were like, hey, no, I don't like the new home run derby rule. Guess what? Everyone likes the home run derby infinitely more now. I'm not saying that in a vacuum that like this is a great rule. I actually take a very more liberal approach to it where I'm just like, I just need something different. Is there a fault with that way of thinking? Don't get me wrong, there is. But for me, it's been like, bro, it's 162 games. You can have them all. They have to use lollipops to bat as for one game a year, right? I remember like there's another thing. I remember players are complaining about the players' weekend jerseys. I'm like, guys, it's one weekend. You know what I'm saying? And I often find that this reeks again, and maybe this in a vacuum, like I said, I understand people don't like the rule, but it reeks of what baseball mindset has always been, which is a mindset of not wanting to change anything. Yeah. And my thing is, Sully, our good buddy Sully, host of Locked On MLB podcast, he's always saying like, yeah, well, I like better rules. I'm like, okay, what do you want the rule to be? Oh, let's do it after 12 innings. It's like, okay, what kind of change is that? It's like, okay, how many games go to 12 okay, so we have to shorten it. Whatever. Maybe you make it that it starts off at first, then it goes to second, then it goes to third. And then if it doesn't happen, then it becomes more and more. I don't know, but I just think until we come up with something, I'm cool with it, man. It's just something different. I know the worst case scenario is the bunt and then sacrifice fly to end the game. I get that. But at the same time, at least it's something different, man. There's so many games, guys. There's so many games. I promise you that it won't affect you in the long term as much.
Right. I think it's to get instant to create instant action and strategy and a resolution without playing long extra innings. And speaking of extra innings, we're talking about we hate these 7-inning doubleheader games. Guess what? That's gone. We have the full inning, nine innings. So we don't have the Madison Bumgarner no hitter that doesn't count because it wasn't a full 9 innings. So that's gone.
Well, here's the thing. And if those don't count, then does the multiple no-hitter not count now? Because a lot of times the multiple pitcher no-hitters, they pitch way less than 7 innings. You know what I'm saying? I didn't like that logic last year because
it has to be a complete game. I mean, it has 9 innings.
But it was only 7 innings because MLB made it that way. So if they legislated the rule to change, they should change the way that the record is counted. You can put an asterisk by it. It can be a 7-inning no-hitter, but still call it a freaking no-hitter. Give the guy his druthers. I mean, imagine you going out there and saying, hey, you know what? Yeah, imagine Eric going out there right now on the mound. I don't know. The Astros are throwing like I don't know who these guys are. Rumpelstiltskin. They got all kinds of players that I've never heard of. I mean,
it's
Eric,
Rothcup,
Javier, Javi could go out on the mound. I'd be like, who is this kid? They're like, oh, he came from Asheville, I mean, Dusty Baker's like, look, man, the old guys, we played into November. We're trying to rest. We're trying to get our reps off the field, not on the field. And Jacob deGrom, there's no way I'm putting my veterans against him first game. Let's throw the young guys to the wolves. And dude, he ate them up tonight.
So another rule that I know Dusty Baker was asked after the game if they like it, and he's like, "Is that official?" Because yes, I like it. If it's official, until May 1st, the rosters are going to expand from 26 players to 28 players. And you know who's salivating about this? We'll talk about this in a second. Lewis Brinson, because this opens opportunity for him to make it as a 28th player.
He looked good in the game. He looked really good. I mean, this dude's a stud. I mean, he may be one of these guys. Now, someone said JD Martinez, whatever happened to him where he wasn't given a chance, he went to Boston. He moved on and, I'm not saying Brinson is the next JD Martinez, but the Astros and the winning club and the organization could be all Brinson needs. This dude's an absolute tank. He is a beast, and I really think it's a low risk, high reward for him.
Yeah. So we'll talk about the Shohei Ohtani rule in a second, but before we do that, let's talk about Built Bar. Built Bar is something that everybody can use, right, Brett?
Yeah, that's right. Built Bar is the best tasting protein bar in the land. And I know Javi Pena is all about the Built Bar and the Built Puff. And they've got even these things called churro puffs. They're amazing. They have chocolate marshmallow. They have banana cream pie. They even have this new, it's like an Irish cream. It tastes like those Andes mints, but it's really cool because it's the only protein infused marshmallow treat wrapped in 100% chocolate. It's good for you. It's not going to break open your diet or throw your macros out of whack. 130 to 160 calories, 17 grams of protein, 3 to 4 grams of sugar and carbs each. And this bar, not only is it healthy for you, but it doesn't taste healthy. And you know what I mean when I say that. Because a lot of times you get these health foods and they don't taste good. They're chalky, they're full of sugar, not Built Bar. So what I need you to do is I need you to go to built.com and use the promo code LOCK15 for 15% off your order. Go to built.com and see what they have, what they can unlock for you with the code LOCK15 for 15% off your order. Built.com, the best bar in the biz.
And speaking of the best thing in biz, let's talk about the Locked On MLB prospects. Lindsey Crosby does a great job analyzing all the best prospects out there. I don't know if you've been on his show yet, or if he's been on your show, Javi, yet, but he's been on the Locked On Astros. Good.
Right before I did this podcast, I was on his show talking about CJ Abrams. So if you guys are interested in that and whether or not he'll replace Tatis and whatnot,
I definitely want to know that for my fantasy team. So we'll talk. I want to talk to you about that before we end this podcast. But definitely go check him out. Make the Locked On Astros your first listen. Go check out the Locked On MLB prospects as your second listen. So I do want to talk about the Shohei Ohtani rule before we go ahead and address the Carlos Correa one last time. Before we move on, I do want to hear what Javi thinks about this because he was always a big advocate of Correa coming back to Houston. But the Shohei Ohtani rule it states that if the pitcher starts the game, because we know we have this universal DH now. So Shohei Ohtani as a pitcher, he wants to hit. So if you're going to have the pitcher start the game as a hitter and he leaves the game, then you're going to lose a big bat in the lineup. The Angels are. So the Angels and I guess baseball wanted to be like, well, can he stay the game as the DH? And so baseball is like, sure, let's go and make a Shohei Ohtani rule. And so this is what the new rule says. It says new rule stipulates that if the starting pitcher is also hitting in the lineup, then that player remains as the DH, even if he's pulled from the start. Thus, if Ohtani pitched 5 innings, he was still hit through the entire game.
Wow.
This rule is in place for the entire CBA.
Okay, that's huge. So, everybody talks about how, the Dodgers and the Yankees and the Cubs are the darlings of the MLB. Well, so MLB expands the playoffs.
The Angels, it's Ohtani, though.
Listen, no, but he's on the Angels. They can't get the Angels in the playoffs. They can't get Mike Trout in the playoffs. So what do? Hey, sign Ohtani. Done. Okay, still can't get Mike Trout in the playoffs. Hey, let's expand the playoffs. Still can't get him in. Hey, you know what? Let's also add another thing. Hey, Ohtani, you can also hit in the game, the whole game. So here, if the Angels fail to get in the playoffs with Ohtani hitting, then they need to sell the team. They need to move to like Memphis and get out of baseball because they're a terrible. I'm sorry, man. Hey, I mean, Javi.
Angels. Got a pretty good ring to it.
I mean, what's next? The Angels get spotted 10 wins to begin the season. I mean, what's next?
Okay, first of all right. I know that this is like part you just going off on this stuff, but hey, in fairness, look, I would do I said this before earlier. I would do anything for Shohei Ohtani to be in the playoffs. I do anything for Mike Trout to be in the playoffs. Anthony Rendon, even guys like Joe Adell and Brandon Marsh, they have talent. It's just they are so bad at completing a baseball. The Angels front office would be great in the NBA. Because in the NBA, they would be like, they know how to get those couple stars. Don't get me wrong.
They would score 160 runs as an NBA game.
Game. The depth in the NBA matters, but baseball, it really, really, really matters. You know what I'm saying? It's like, you better have an ironed out roster, right? Because Mike Trout is Exhibit A, right? He might be the Dan Marino of this generation, like a Hall of Famer, no doubt, but a guy that just unfortunately couldn't make it very far. And we all kind of universally agree, not his fault exactly. So I like the rule. I think it's fun. Hey, look, if everyone wants to complain, you go find a pitcher who could
Right.
do both and actually be
Oh
productive
no,
in both lineups. So
honestly, I love Shohei Ohtani. I don't mean
everyone does.
any hate on
Everyone
them.
does.
Right. But hey, I mean, what's next? If that doesn't work, are they going to allow Mike Trout to use steroids? I mean, well, I better not talk about
Stop.
that. Okay,
Stop
Well, I
it.
think
Stop
the
it.
idea is to actually promote more two-way
medical
players.
loophole.
They want to promote more two-way players. I think
No, and there are two-way players coming up, Eric.
Right.
And just to kind of cut you off, there is a kid at Texas from Lake Travis High School who George, his last name is George, and his first name is escaping me. I actually trying to get him on the show. I know they're right in the middle of the season, but this kid was a two-way player coming out of high school, throws 97, 98, can hit absolute tanks. So the two-way player is coming. The two-way player is what the NFL had when they had the athletic quarterback and the Randall Cunninghams and the running quarterback and the Michael Vicks. That's what's coming to the game. If it makes the game more exciting, why not? And hey, Zach Greinke, let's be a universal DH, baby. Let's get that home run.
Maybe it's just 1 or 2 inning guys, right? Jake Cronenworth was a guy who could, for my team, for the Padres, who did both. What if it's like, hey, yeah, we'll use you. Maybe down the line, they'll like let you change lineups midway if you used a pitcher who also, I don't know. At least it would create like really fun stuff. Again, that would be very down the line where it's like, guess what? You can take someone out. We'll let you change more lineups more. We'll make the roster. I don't know. But I do like the idea of MLB being like, let's try and say, hey, like, maybe we increase our the possibility of two-way players. I think it's fun, and I think you saw last year. I mean, have you guys ever just tweeted Shohei Ohtani? You notice how many people love this guy, and it's great. Right. He's got the best MLB The Show cover next to my boy that I've ever seen. It's really fun stuff, and I like it when MLB makes these tiny rule changes. I liked this is a little bit of a side tangent, but how they're making it that every team is going to play each other once. Should that have happened years ago? Yes, but it feels like a small little tweak that's like, yeah, why is it that the Padres, or say, let's not even use the Padres because they played the Astros last year, but let's say, why is it that Yankees for years probably never saw Bryce Harper play against them? That's just weird, man. You know what I'm saying? And it's a small thing to be like, let's get more people involved. And I see someone saying, is this going to allow them to see an increase in innings next year in the comments? And that's a good point. Maybe it will. I do think that it increases the possibility that they would like to take him out that way if he's dealing and they want to, save him a little bit more. That's like, oh, well, we don't lose a guy who hit like 45 bombs for us. But yeah, I think that overall it's really fun. We may have some disagreements about the ghost runner or zombie runner, whatever, and the doubleheader, which by the way, I love the doubleheader thing. I think it's like cool. It's something to look forward to. It's like, oh, only 2 7-inning games. It's a nice change up. But I think we can agree on these.
All right. So as the Angels are right now, according to BetOnline.net, they have the Angels odds at -200 of not making the playoffs. That is a 66.7% of not making the playoffs.
Now, this was before the rule change. Okay. I think it was.
Okay.
Yeah. These came out.
I don't think that's going to change anything.
I don't know.
The Rangers have spent how much this offseason? He spent a lot of money.
Like $500 million.
Okay. Yeah. The odds that they make the playoffs are -1,000.
Of course, because they're the Rangers.
So the odds imply that there's a 90.9% chance they won't make the playoffs.
I mean, they can't even build a good stadium. Come on, man. I mean, their stadium looks like Tough Shed Field.
They have the same odds that the A's have of making the playoffs.
Yeah, Oakland is really like Javi. I just don't get. I mean, they are selling their heart and their soul. I mean, I don't even know why people are going to go to games this year.
All right.
That's baseball, and that's Oakland A's ownership being like, let's have a less team, and then people won't show up, and they'll be like, see, we don't have any attendance. It's like, well, yeah, because fans know that with your team, in order for them to win, they have to hit on 5 prospects and somehow win in 2 years, because then you're just going to trade them. I mean, think about it. Guys, baseball's the only sport where teams that win like 94 games, they're like, let's actually not do anything in the offseason. That's not the case with the Astros for sure, or the Padres lately, but like, could you imagine I don't know, in the NBA, I just mentioned before, if you had the Warriors and when they were that 3 seed and they were like, you know what? Let's actually not make any changes. I got an idea. Let's actually trade Klay Thompson. You know what I mean? Because we got to save some money because he becomes a free agent in 3 years. Like, that's basically the thinking that goes on in baseball with some of these teams. Right. And it stinks because Oakland has a lot of talent. I think they've got a lot of great people working for them. The fact that they managed to spring up every few years with prospects and whatnot. And it really stinks that they're selling off and whatnot. So, but hey, makes it easier for you guys.
To kind of close out the odds, the Mariners currently have a negative 210 odds of not making the playoffs. And so that's a 67.7% they won't make the playoffs. And the Astros have where are they? 80% chance. So
of
that
making the playoffs.
Yes. So they're negative 400 of making the playoffs. So
Yeah,
that's 80% chance. Yeah.
So I was actually looking at this, and I actually, when we got that email, I actually emailed back the president of this company, and I was asking him about some of these odds. And the fact that the Rays are not favored over the Yankees are favored to be the division winners. I got the Yankees third or fourth this year. I mean, I've got them. I've got the Red Sox. I've got the Blue Jays. I've got the Rays in front of them. I just don't see the Yankees doing a whole lot. The Yankees taking first place may be a good bet, but I mean, they actually picked the Blue Jays second or third. I would go the Blue Jays all day in that AL East right now. It's a powerful division.
It's a powerful division. I think it's as simple as stay away. I think this is a stay away. I would not bet on any of those teams. The only thing I would bet on is Baltimore finishing last. And literally no offense to Baltimore, because I actually think they have a decent farm system upcoming with Adley Rutschman. I know you guys were making fun of them if they signed Correa, but they've got Adley Rutschman, top prospect in baseball, Grayson Rodriguez, Mountcastle, Cedric Mull. They have stuff where in a few years, maybe they start becoming something.
Wait, hold on. Correa didn't sign with the Orioles? Who did he sign with? The Twins? Oh, yeah, he did.
Twins. Yeah. But I'm just saying, Baltimore, if they were in the AL Central, I mean, there's a tiny bit of sleeper buzz for them and maybe crack the postseason somehow. But unfortunately, in that division, it's a stay away. Don't bet on it if that's just me, because I could see the Yankees winning first. Why not? Despite all the hysteria, they still won 92 games. You know what I'm saying? How far will they go is different. I think that their odds to win the World Series are absurd. But to win the division, why not? Why not? Why can't they? They have a bajillion home run power in their lineup. So, there you go.
All right. If you want a bajillion home run power, why don't you try Athletics Greens?
So Athletic Greens, let me tell you, I've actually started taking this. They sent us this really cool box, and I should have brought it to show y'all. It's amazing. It's got this drink mix. It's got this bottle shaker. And I'll have to admit, when I first saw this, Athletic Greens, I saw that it was green. So I mix it up. It was green. I was like, if this tastes like wheatgrass, I'm throwing it away. It doesn't. It's amazing. It is this. It's got 75 high quality vitamins, minerals, whole food source superfoods, probiotics, and adaptogens. I don't even know what those are, but I know they're good for you. Why? Because it has helped me in a major way. I've been taking it for the last week and a half, and I just feel better. It's just something about the mood that it puts you in. It helps you to have better gut health. It helps me to have more energy. It's optimized my immune system. And as a teacher by day, I really need that. Instead of taking all these different vitamins and pills and all these supplements, I just take my Athletic Greens. I consume them, and it has this tropical type flavor. I can't really describe it. You would have to get it yourself to see it, but it is unbelievable. It basically contains no GMOs. It only has 1 gram of sugar. Doesn't have any nasty chemicals in there. And if you hear how it was created, the founder experienced a ton of gut health issues and ended up on a complicated supplement routine, and it cost him $100 a day. He created Athletic Greens after experiencing how difficult it was to create this optimal nutrition routine for yourself that you can do. It is a climate neutral certified company. In 2020, Athletic Greens purchased carbon credits that support projects protecting old growth rainforest. So this is what I want you to do. Make it easy. Athletic Greens is going to give you 1 free year supply of immune supporting vitamin D, 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. All you have to do is visit athleticgreens.com/MLB network. Again, that's athleticgreens.com/MLB network to take ownership over your health and pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance. Athletic Greens.
Alrighty. So that's definitely sounds like some great stuff. I've already tried it too. So let's go ahead and talk about some great stuff, which is, well, I guess it's not great stuff for us. It's actually kind of bad stuff for us. That's Carlos Correa signing with the Twins. And he officially signed, and he actually was in the Twins uniform today, and it actually made everybody super depressed today. So, Javi, just really quickly, we got some other stuff to talk about, but what was your instant reaction to Carlos Correa signing with the Twins?
Instant reaction is I think that, hey, for Astros fans, I mean, it's a 3-year contract for 105 million. It's a win for the Twins because this was the only way they were probably going to sign him. It's a win for Correa. I think it's a super smart signing by him because say he gets hurt, he's had trouble staying healthy in his career. And I know that your listeners probably know this. I'm not saying anything unique, but say he gets hurt, opt in for next year and then opt out the year after that, after he puts up another 6-WAR type season, then you get that big juicy contract. Hey, maybe he will resign with the Astros after this. Maybe this is just like a little bit of a LeBron James SD tour. You know what I'm saying? Where he goes to Miami and whatnot, and then he's coming back home or whatever you have. You guys know that I like Correa a lot. He's Puerto Rican. I am too. So I root for him. He was on a little bit of a probation because of everything that happened. But I still root for him very much because you know what? When he hit that home run in the playoffs, and I have some friends of mine, an old friend of yours as well, RM Layton. He said, "So what?" He said, "Screw it. This is awesome. I love this guy." And I'm looking forward to seeing that Twins team. It's got a little bit of hipster potential, and I'm curious to see what other moves they make, especially with the rotation.
Yeah, I'm really curious to see. We're not going to talk about it today, but I'm really curious to see what really happened because there's the whole ghosting thing that's out there. Then we're hearing a lot of reports that there was not even offer out that last week. There was just that initial offer, and that basically they were ghosted. And so, did the Astros really not make a play for him? I don't know what happened, but I don't really want to dwell on that. What I do want to dwell on is the projected lineup that we kind of discussed. And I know there's only one kind of area that we both kind of disagreed on. And so go and put up the lineup.
All right, let me do that. All right, let me. I was trying to get us in on the screen. So if y'all are looking at the screen, if you're listening, we have the H-Town Wheelhouse lineup. We have the Eric Huysman lineup. And my lineup, you have leading off with Altuve, Brantley at second, batting second, Bregman, third base, batting third, Alvarez in left field. You have Gurriel at first, batting fifth, Tucker, then McCormick seventh, Pena, not Javi Pena. And then you have Martin Maldonado, and then, of course, obviously Justin Verlander, your opening day pitcher. In Eric's lineup, we have a couple flip-flops here. We have Altuve, Tucker, Bregman, Alvarez, third and fourth, Gurriel, Brantley, sixth, McCormick, Pena, eighth, and Maldonado, ninth, and, of course, Justin Verlander pitching. So those are our two lineups. Now, Eric, you flipped Tucker, and I believe who was that? You flipped Tucker and Brantley, correct?
I mean, I just did it for sake of doing it, but I really think that, while everybody says that Tucker is the better hitter, he should be hitting up bigger in the more in the lineup.
I
But
agree
when
100%.
Michael Brantley is kind of up in the two hole, you want the more veteran guy hitting up in the two hole, and that's why you have him up there. The reason why you have a guy like Kyle Tucker hitting deeper in the lineup is because you want to deepen. You want to stretch out the lineup, and then you want to make him have more RBI opportunities. But I just went ahead and put this just kind of have the different opportunities. I wanted y'all, the people in the chat, and the people kind of watching this the next day, or people listening to on the radio or on the audio version, just text us or tweet us and just let us know what do you think. So, Javi, which one of these do you think would be the best?
Oof. I mean, I can't speak as much to that, but I totally forgot that Jordan wasn't necessarily someone that was going to be the DH for you guys anymore. And it just reminds me, the team is really deep with the lineup. To me, I think that when you look at this stuff, you kind of say, you know what? I honestly think that it could depend on the pitcher. Maybe he splits. I also think that what's interesting here is I'm going to be curious to see how Yuli Gurriel does this year, only because as a person that I am, anytime someone's older, I by default want to see them play a month of baseball and see if they still have it. I know he's a great batting average guy. I know he's just a pure hitter, but I just want to see how he develops because I could see him sliding a little bit in the lineup for the Astros. But otherwise, you guys lost Correa, but there's still like 5 guys in there that I could just see off the top of my head that are like above 115 WRC plus. Like they're going to be really good. But I do have a question for you guys. It's a little bit of a mean one. Are you ready? So this somewhat ties into the stuff, but it doesn't also. It just actually really just has to do with baseball. But for a while now, Alex Bregman has been struggling to hit breaking pitches. All right. So I'm really wondering, how do you guys see that going forward? Because, just to remind people, last year batted 220 against them with an expecting batting average of 215, just looking at Baseball Savant. Year before that, even worse, 150, 170. But everything else, still really good hitter. I think he's got a good glove. He was an MVP quality guy in 2019 and even the year before. I'm wondering, though, maybe is this something that you're worried about? Do you think that this is our Major League Baseball pitchers, figuring out how to pitch him? Or is it that he's just going to be a 4-WAR player for a while instead of being that 7 MVP guy? And maybe he goes the route of a Longoria worst case scenario where he was great at the beginning of his career and then he just became, pretty good. What do you guys think about that?
I think this year the way that he goes is going to be the way the team goes. Alex Bregman, I believe, has dealt with soft tissue injuries in the past. I know last year towards the end he had the broken hand, or he had the hand surgery. So he's had some things that have hampered his production, and I believe that he has worked on that. And from what I understand, he's coming out of the block smoking hot this year. And I really think that Bregman competes for the MVP this year once again. But as Bregman goes, I believe this lineup is going to go. It is uber important for him to get back on top. And he seems to be motivated, and he seems to have been working on the very things that you say he's been struggling with. I think he turns it around this year. What about you, Eric?
I know that after 2020, he dealt with the scandal, the aftermath of the scandal. Then last year, it was the shortened. Last year was shortened season, right? Or am I thinking? No. Last year was full season. So last year
was the first year with the fans booing.
Right. The fans were booing, and he was dealing with the injuries. He just couldn't get everything going. So I think that this year will be the first year where he's coming into spring camp. He's totally healthy. Last year, he was kind of limited in spring camp, if I remember correctly. And so I think we'll see Alex Bregman kind of return. Will he be the 2019 version of Alex Bregman where he hit 41 home runs, 112 RBIs? I don't know. But he'll be definitely he said that he could be better. When he was asked about that, he said, I think I'm going to be better. I feel that healthy this year. So
maybe it doesn't matter because, I mean, you guys still have Jordan, who's a freak barrel machine, and he's only 24. Kyle Tucker, who I was wrong about. I didn't quite get the hype for Kyle Tucker. He raked. I remember the last time I was on this show, you guys were like, you thought he was going to be great, and he was, especially in the playoffs and afterwards. I could see that guy being the low-key, the MVP candidate of this team. Maybe, like I said, maybe it actually might not matter. And also, I did not know that Altuve was only 31. What? Really?
Yeah.
What?
He's been with the Astros like forever, for over a decade now. And,
that shook me.
Yeah. No, yeah. Just
that shook me.
And with the whole Kyle Tucker thing, Kyle Tucker was my preseason offensive MVP last year, and he really showed that outside of the first month of the season. He was that offensive MVP. Also, as the shift goes away, the hits are going to come Tucker's way, I really believe, because Tucker, the way he pulls the ball, the way he hits the ball. But you're right. And in those lineups, just to say this, I did have Brantley as a DH. I did have Jordan Alvarez as a left fielder. That was just from an old lineup. Of course, we have Jordan as the main DH. We have Brantley as the main left fielder. That was just a position change that I didn't make when I typed that up. So I just wanted to caveat that, because we'll definitely get the comments on YouTube saying how
Alvarez is going to be doing a lot of. He's coming off knee surgery. He's going to be.
I know that. So let me just complete this thought here. With this lineup, with the guys you have in it, Tucker and Bregman are both going to be top 5 or top 10 for MVP voting, hands down. Okay. They weren't any of the guys that were pictured on that MVP picture. Who's going to get MVP from Fox? Okay. And that's fine. I want them to be under the radar. But I think if anybody has pressure on them this year, it is Alex Bregman. Alex Bregman has to perform. Nobody else has as much pressure on them as Alex Bregman, especially with someone like Carlos Correa leaving the lineup. Yuli, I think, is your constant. I think Brantley is your constant. It is Chas McCormick's time to shine while Jake Myers is out. Pena can really do no wrong because no one's really expecting a whole lot out of his bat except for a bunch of home runs and a bunch of swings and missed strikeouts. So Maldonado, he is who he is. I just think this lineup. I just think this lineup is dangerous.
Yeah, I mean, look, guys, like a down season, 270, 355, 422 slash line. I'll take that from a down slash line. And I get it that the 40 home run stuff wasn't necessarily there in 91 games, but like 12 bombs, like that's not that bad. And especially, it's not like he's a minus defensively. He's actually quite good as a defender. So if I'm Astros fans, I'm like, if you literally did this for the rest of your career, if he was a 270, 350, got you 25 bombs, played great defense for another like 4 or 5 years, that's a win, especially because that's often what happens in baseball, right? Like guys can have the ultimate unbelievable seasons and then just it kind of fades away shortly. So, that's incredible. I cannot believe Altuve's 31. That's like when I found out that Steven Adams was only 30 years old. Steven Adams in another NBA thing. I'm in an NBA mood today. When I found out he wasn't like 55 years old, I lost my mind. I don't know if you guys knew this. I lost my mind with that.
Now, Altuve did say this in an interview. He said, I'm not going to try to hit as many home runs this year. I'm going to try to become a contact hitter again. And you watch, mark my words, bookmark it. Altuve is going to hit north of 315 by the end of the season. He's going to be back to the old Altuve. He's going to get over 200 hits this year. He's going to have another career year.
Yeah. I can see that. I think that he kind of lost some of his ability to hit for average and some of his just all around game when he started hitting for power. But then he also became more all around player. But if Bregman can go back to his 2017 form where he hit 19 home runs, 71 RBI, steal 17 bases. I don't think he's to steal 17 bases, not after that, but batting 284 with a 827 OPS. If that's his floor, then that would be a great season. I think he's going to do a lot better than that. So I think speaking of floor, I know that you don't have a high floor for Mr. Jake Odorizzi, but he had a great start today. And so a lot of people are expecting him to do good this year. I know that you wanted to trade him, Brett, but Lance McCullers.
You keep bringing that up.
Yes. This is why, because Lance McCullers got hurt and he's going to miss some time. And I know that, Javi, I do want to talk to you in a second about your shortstop of the future. But Jake Odorizzi pitched 2 innings today, allowed 1 hit. It was a hard double, and he allowed 1 walk and struck out 1 batter. But overall, he looked good. You had Peter Solomon come in. He gave up 3 hits, but pitched 2 shutout innings. The Astros really went toe-to-toe with them until Ross Cup came in and got hit around a little bit. But even after the game, Dusty Baker said that he just hasn't pitched in a while, so he was a little rusty. But unfortunately, the Astros lost 2-0 to the Mets, so they're now 0-4 on their spring training. So I guess it's time to do.
They're out of the playoffs already.
Yeah. So, but overall, if Odorizzi uses the spring training better than he did last year, because last year, remember, he signed late and then he didn't really get a good start. This will be a asset to the Astros rotation, especially if McCullers misses a lot of time.
He had that one hanging slider, and that's the one hit that Pete Alonso got a hold of.
Right.
That was the only decently hit ball off of him. Other than that, he looked really good. And, Odorizzi talked about that last year, how he wasn't himself, how he was frustrated. He went through some mental struggles. And maybe those struggles, Eric, were the thing that he needed to start, to come into this season, to be motivated. Lance being on the shelf. Odorizzi, you're getting the ball. Javier's going to be in the pen because he's our long relief guy. That's what he needs. Maybe he needs that comfort of knowing that he's part of the rotation.
Yeah. So I know that the Astros are going to be counting on Jeremy Pena this year. We don't really know what to expect from him. I know y'all going to be having a starting shortstop, right?
Yeah. Man. Geez. That's the big question. Everybody tune into an episode going out sometime this week, probably Thursday. Talking with Lindsey Crosby of Locked On Prospects, whether or not we think CJ Abrams, our top prospect, should take over. It's a question. It's a question for the future because the Padres, unlike the Astros, I think their pitching actually is going to have a very, very nice bounce back. And thank you, Edward, for that nice compliment there, man. I'm trying my best out here. I think their pitching is going to be solid, but they are really lacking power right now, for sure, especially with the absence of Tatis. They don't have themselves a Yordan. Love the Luke Voigt move, but he's no Yordan Alvarez, right? We're hoping to get half of Yordan Alvarez out of our DH from him. So we'll have to see what happens. I think that's going to be Ha-Seong Kim, and I actually believe in that. I think that he's got a great glove. So if the Padres can be that team who hits okay, you got Manny Machado, you got Jake Cronenworth, you can still deliver a little bit of offense, be a middling offense, and have great pitching, good bullpen stuff, some good defense with Kim and Machado and Cronenworth, then I think that they'll succeed. But yeah, I can't fake any more confidence. Losing Tatis for 3 months is absolutely awful, especially because you noticed last year, teams started to crumble a little bit basically after he got hurt, and they weren't quite the same, absent a couple of, anomalies on the team.
So how maddening is it to look at LA and the Dodgers and watch them just roll in players like they're the Los Angeles Lakers of the 1980s, or you know what I'm saying? It's like Shaq and Kobe, right? Yeah, coming together. Because you guys, I mean, the Padres were the team. Like I was like, the Padres they're the team out of the NL I don't want to face, and then they just disappeared. Yeah. And then the Dodgers go and make a blockbuster trade, and Kyrie Ruiz is actually hitting crushing baseballs, going to be one of the best hitting catchers we've seen in probably 15, 20 years. And they had lost one of their guys in Scherzer. They got Turner, but they still signed freaking Freddie Freeman. So, I mean, you guys have a tough, San Diego Padre life is not easy, man.
No, it's not. I mean, I think that if they were in the NL Central, if they were heck in that American League Central, right? Heck, even the National League East, that team loves it. That division, absent the Braves, loves having disappointing seasons. So my thing is, I think that that's where a lot of the Padres' misery has come from, where it's not necessarily their team. It's just that the Dodgers have the help of sleeper agents planted throughout the league that help them get better, whether it be the Boston Red Sox giving them Mookie Betts because they decided we don't want to have the best player we've had since Manny Ramirez, Pedro Martinez, whatever you want to say. They didn't want to do that. And then you have the Dodgers at the deadline getting Max Scherzer. In fairness, looks like Kyrie Ruiz might be something, but you threw in Trey Turner there like it was the extra onion ring you get in the bag of French fries by accident. Like it was just like, what the heck? And then he becomes an MVP contender at the end of the year. It's just really rough, man. It's really rough. So and then Freddie Freeman, the Mr. Brave, Mr. Atlanta, probably their most popular player since Chipper Jones. Was that another sleeper agent play where they hit the button? They were like, don't do anything. We want Freddie Freeman. Maybe that's what happened. Not as much because they did end up getting Olsen. I actually would have written to the commissioner if they didn't trade for Matt Olsen. I would be like, okay, so you guys have all these guys on great contracts with Acuna and Albies, and then you don't spend on Freddie Freeman, and then you don't trade for Olsen. I would have had some beef with the commissioner, but they ended up doing that. So yeah, it's rough. And the Giants, everyone's kind of just assuming they're going to fall back. I think they will, but what if the fallback is like, okay, they won 107. What if the fallback is like 93 games?
Right.
Like, yeah, that's 14 down, but that's still a good team. And I think people are forgetting. I saw some odds that were like, they're going to be under 500. Why? Like, what? Stop it, guys. These are the same people that keep predicting Tampa to fall off every year. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So it's really rough. Really rough in Padre land.
All right. So, Javi, thank you once again for joining the show. And we didn't get a chance to talk about the Astros have reached agreement with all 6 players avoiding arbitration. So we'll talk about that in tomorrow's show, and we'll talk about a lot more on tomorrow's podcast. Thank you for making Locked On Astros podcast your first listen. Make sure you check out our friend Sully over the Locked On MLB podcast. He always has great content, and he always wants to do more and more shows. He always jokes about doing 20 podcasts a day or something. So, Javi, where can they find you once again on Twitter?
They can find me at Javipeno, JAVIIPNO. That's where I tweet about a bunch of stuff, pop culture, movies, as well as baseball, but baseball exclusively at LO_Padres. And then also check out the YouTube Locked On Padres for sure. I've been enjoying doing videos on there lately. So, keep the faith.
Alrighty. So I'm Eric Huysman. That's Brett Chancey, and that's Charlie Brown down there. And you've been listening to Locked On Astros podcast mixed with a little bit of Locked On Padres, and we'll catch you next time. Go Stros!